You know that feeling when you get a cut or a scrape and someone tells you to just let it air out and dry up? That advice may sound right and it may feel like common sense, but it's actually slowing down healing. And if you're taking care of wounds in a clinical setting, believing that myth can turn a manageable wound into something that takes weeks longer to heal, increases infection risk, and quietly builds documentation gaps. Which is why I'm going to break down why moist wound healing works, why wounds heal slower, and what you need to do differently starting today. This is what I've seen work across skilled nursing facilities, home health, and acute care settings for years. And whether you've never touched a wound before, you're a newer nurse trying to build confidence, or you're an experienced clinician who wants to sharpen your clinical reasoning, this video is going to give you something practical you can use tomorrow. And if you're in leadership or administration, this is where risk can quietly build. Because when staff don't understand the why behind most wound healing, they default to what feels safe, letting things dry out. And that's when healing stalls, wounds worsen, and documentation doesn't match what actually happens at the bedside. Which is why I am going to help you think through wound care in a way that makes sense, reduces guesswork, and protects both your patients and your facility. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to walk you through this step by step. I'll explain what moist wound healing actually is, why it works at a cellular level, what goes wrong when wounds dry out, and how to create the right environment without overthinking. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for, what to avoid, and how to explain this to your team in a way that sticks. There's one mistake I see over and over, again, that turns a healing wound into a stalled wound. And once you understand it, you'll never look at wound care the same way again. Let's start with what moist wound healing really is. When we talk about moist wound healing, we're talking about keeping the wound bed just wet enough that cells can move, grow, and repair tissue. Not soaking wet, not dried out and crusty, just moist, like the inside of your mouth. That's the environment your body needs to heal. Here's what happens when a wound is kept moist. The cells that rebuild tissue, fibroblasts, keratinocytes, all the repair crew, they need moisture to migrate across the wound bed. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to slide a heavy box across the floor. If the floor is smooth and just a little slick, that box glides. But if the floor is bone dry and sticky, you're fighting friction the whole way. That's what happens inside a wound. Moisture reduces friction. It lets cells move where they need to go. Moist wounds also break down dead tissue faster. Your body has enzymes that naturally clean up debris, but those enzymes only work in a moist environment. When a wound dries out, those enzymes stop working. The dead tissue just sits there, and that dead tissue becomes a barrier. It blocks new tissue from forming underneath. It also creates a perfect hiding spot for bacteria. The biggest thing most people don't realize is that a moist wound actually hurts less as well. When nerve endings are exposed to air, they send pain signals. But when they're covered by moisture and a proper dressing, that pain decreases. So keeping a wound moist isn't just about faster healing, it's about comfort. But here's the key principle most people misunderstand. Moist wound doesn't mean wet. It does not mean macerated. It doesn't mean the skin around the wound is turning white and soggy. That's too much moisture. That's damage. What we want is balance. Just enough moisture to the wound bed to support healing, and just enough absorption in the dressing to protect the surrounding skin. That balance is where the art of wound care lives. Now let's talk about what happens when you do the wrong thing. The most common mistake I see is this. Someone looks at a wound and thinks, this is wet, I need to dry it out. So they leave the wound open to air, or they use a dry gauze dressing and change it multiple times a day. And every time they pull that gauze off, they're ripping away the new tissue that was trying to form. That goes wrong because when a wound dries out, a hard scab forms on the surface. That scab might look like healing, but underneath the wound bed is stuck. The cells can't migrate, the enzymes can't work, and because the wound isn't getting the oxygen and nutrients it needs through moisture, inflammation stays high. The wound stays in the inflammatory phase instead of moving into the repair phase. Dry wounds also contract incorrectly. Instead of closing from the edges in an organized way, they shrink unevenly. That creates tension, and that tension can cause the wound to reopen later, even after it looks closed. The consequences are that first, healing time doubles or triples. A wound that could close in 2 weeks might take 6. Second, infection risk goes up. Dry wounds crack. Those cracks become entry points for bacteria. Third, pain increases. Patients suffer more. And fourth, documentation becomes a mess. Because when a wound isn't healing as expected, people start guessing. They change dressings randomly. They don't document the rationale, and that's when surveys find gaps. I've seen this happen before more times than I can count. A stage 2 pressure injury on a heel that should have healed in 10 days is still open 5 weeks later because someone kept it dry. They thought they were doing the right thing, but they were working against the body's natural healing process. Even experienced clinicians second guess themselves here, because we've all been taught different things at different times, and wound care advice has changed a lot over the years. If you ever feel uncertain about whether you're doing the right thing, or if you're managing wounds in a facility where practices aren't consistent, you're not alone. That's actually why I started the Wound Care Circle. It's a community where clinicians, caregivers, and leaders come together for weekly guidance, case breakdowns, and real-world support. It's a place to ask questions, learn from real cases, and build confidence in your clinical decisions. If that sounds helpful, click the first link in the description to join. So what do you need to do first? The first step is simple. Assess the wound bed. Look at it closely. Is it pink or red? That's healthy granulation tissue. Is it yellow or tan? That's slough. Is it black? That's eschar. Each of those tell you something different about what the wound needs. If the wound bed is pink or red, your job is to protect it and keep it moist. If it's yellow, you need to support autolytic debridement, which means using moisture to help the body break down that dead tissue. If it's black and dry, you need to get a provider involved because that eschar might need sharp debridement, especially if there's any concern about infection or ischemia. Here's a rule you can follow. If the wound bed looks dry, crusty, or stuck, add moisture. If the surrounding skin looks white, wrinkled, or soggy, reduce moisture. That's your starting point. And here's a threshold to remember. If the wound has been stalled for more than 2 weeks with no signs of progress, no reduction in size, no increase in granulation tissue, no improvement in exudate, you stop and reassess. Something is wrong. It could be the dressing choice. It could be pressure. It could be nutrition. It could be vascular compromise, but you don't just keep doing the same thing and hope it works. Now, let me give you some clues you can spot before any tests come back. If the wound edges are dry and rolled under, that wound is not progressing. Healthy wound edges are flat and attached to the wound bed. If they're rolling under, the wound is stuck in chronic inflammation. If the wound bed is shiny and looks like it's covered in a thin film, that's a biofilm. It's not just slough. It's bacteria living in a protective layer, and that biofilm will block healing unless it's disrupted. If the surrounding skin is red, warm, or swollen, that's a sign of infection or inflammation. Don't ignore it. Even if the wound itself looks okay, the skin around it tells you what's happening underneath. If the exudate is thick, green, or foul smelling, that's infection. Clear or pale yellow exudate is normal in a healing wound, but anything cloudy, colored, or odorous is a red flag. And here's one more thing. If the wound is painful out of proportion to what you see, that's a clue something deeper is going on. It could mean infection. It could be ischemia. It could be pressure that's not being relieved. But pain is always a signal. Listen to it. These signs mean proceed with caution. Don't just slap on a dressing and move on. Dig deeper. Now here's the counterintuitive insight that changes everything. Most people think that if a wound is draining a lot, they need to dry it out. But that's backwards. If a wound is draining heavily, it's because the body is trying to clean itself out. That drainage is full of enzymes, growth factors, and immune cells. It's doing the work of healing. Your job is not to stop the drainage. Your job is to manage it without letting it damage the surrounding cells. So instead of drying the wound out, you choose a dressing that absorbs the excess fluid while keeping the wound bed moist. That might be a foam dressing. It might be an alginate or hydrofiber if the drainage is heavy. But you don't use dry gauze because dry gauze doesn't absorb efficiently. It sticks to the wound bed and it has to be changed so often that you're disrupting the healing process every time you touch it. Here's a safer, smarter alternative. Use a dressing that maintains moisture balance. For light to moderate exudate, that's usually a hydrocolloid or a thin foam. For moderate to heavy exudate, that's a thicker foam or an alginate. And for dry wounds, you might need to use a hydrogel to add moisture back in. The key is matching the dressing to the wound, not to what feels safe, not to what's easiest, but to what the wound actually needs. A similar case happened when I was working in a nursing facility. We had a resident with a stage 3 pressure injury on her sacrum. It had been there for 6 weeks. The care plan said to use dry gauze and change it 3 times a day. Every time I looked at that wound, it looked the same. No progress, just stuck. I pulled the chart. No one had documented why they were using the dry gauze. No one had reassessed the wound in over 2 weeks. It was just routine. Change the dressing, check the box, and move on. I looked at the wound myself. The wound bed was dry. The edges were rolled. There was a thin layer of yellow slough that wasn't breaking down. And the resident said it hurt every time we touched it. I talked to the provider. We switched to a hydrogel to rehydrate the wound bed and foam dressing to protect it. We went from 3 dressing changes a day to 1 every day, or as needed. Within 1 week, the slough started breaking down. Within 2 weeks, we had pink granulation tissue. Within 4 weeks, the wound was half the size. What changed? We stopped fighting the body's healing process. We gave the wound what it needed: moisture, protection, and time. That's when I learned that wound care isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right thing and then getting out of the way. So what should you do instead? Here's your action plan. First, assess the wound bed every time you change the dressing. Don't just look at the size. Look at the tissue type, the exudate, the edges, and the surrounding skin. Second, choose a dressing that matches the wound's moisture level. If it's dry, add moisture. If it's wet, absorb moisture. If it's balanced, maintain moisture. Third, protect the surrounding skin. Use a barrier cream or film if needed. Maceration is just as bad as drying out. Fourth, don't change the dressing more often than necessary. Every time you remove a dressing, you risk disrupting new tissue. Follow the manufacturer's guidelines. Most modern dressings can stay in place for a couple of days. Fifth, document your rationale. Write down why you chose that dressing. Write down what you saw. Write down what you expect to see next time. That documentation protects you, your patient, and your facility. And sixth, reassess regularly. If the wound isn't improving in 2 weeks, something needs to change. Don't wait for a survey to tell you that. Here's your do and don't list. Do keep the wound bed moist. Don't let it dry out. Do use dressings that match the exudate level. Don't use dry gauze on a healing wound. Do protect the surrounding skin. Don't ignore maceration. Do document your clinical reasoning. Don't just write, dressing changed. This isn't complicated. It's just intentional. Now let me tell you what happens when you do it right. When you maintain the right moisture balance, wounds move through the healing phases the way they're supposed to. Inflammation resolves. Granulation tissue fills in the wound bed. Epithelial cells migrate across the surface. The wound gets smaller. The edges flatten and detach. The tissue turns from red to pink to the color of the surrounding skin. Patients feel better. They're in less pain. They're more comfortable. They trust that you know what you're doing. Your documentation gets cleaner. You're not guessing. You're not changing the plan every other day. You have a clear rationale and you can explain it to anyone who asks. And your facility is protected because when wounds heal the way they're supposed to, there's no gap for a surveyor to find. There's no pattern of stalled wounds. There's no question about whether the standard of care was met. Healing becomes predictable, and that's the goal. Before you look at the wound bed, before you choose a dressing, before you document anything, check the surrounding skin. Is it intact? Is it red? Is it white and wrinkled? Is it dry and flaky? That skin tells you whether your moisture balance is right. If the skin is healthy, you're on the right track. If it's damaged, you need to adjust. But what you need to understand is that noticing it is only half the story. The real challenge is knowing what to do once you see it. Because moisture balance isn't just about the dressing. It's about how often you change it, how you protect the skin, and how you reassess over time. There's a method I use to make the decisions simpler and more consistent. It's called the Moisture Balance Framework, and I made a video breaking it down step by step. I'll show you exactly how to match the wound to the dressing, how to protect the skin, and how to know when it's time to change your approach. So click the next video on the screen where I explain how to choose the right dressing for any wound and show you how to prevent the most common moisture-related complications. Stay informed and heal well.